Welcome to the temple of your life, friends. So, the temple of my life has been a wandering one, a nomadic temple lately. I've just returned from a month in India and Vietnam with my beloved partner Gangaras, and in many ways, the trip was designed around his return to Vietnam as a Vietnam vet who was drafted in 1968 when he was 19 years old and plunged into a world that he never chose to be part of. And yet, all these years later, these decades later, it was still such a formative experience in his life, and there was something in him that needed to go back to the beach where he was stationed in Vietnam. And so we did. But first, we went to India, where I had a teaching gig at the International Yoga Festival as a guest of my friend Sadhviji. And for 5 days, I gave talks on the mystics. And then Gangadas and I just kind of went on the what I call the Maharaji pilgrimage. And so that was amazing. And then from there, we went to Vietnam, and we found that remote beach, what's now a remote beach. Back then it was a military base, and now it's a series of fishing villages that you can only find through going down these long winding sand roads. And I guess what I really want to say is, even if your travel adventure isn't as kind of momentous as ours was, doing the India trip and those sacred spots that we had longed to experience, and then our Vietnam trip where we found that important place in my husband's life story, even if it's more ordinary than that, I was just so struck by how potent travel is as a space of spiritual transformation. Ordinary mysticism, right? That you can be eating dumplings in a tiny cafe in Saigon, crammed between locals with their chopsticks, and everybody's pulling greens out of a communal pot and putting it into their bowl of pho, and everything becomes luminous. Like, wow, I am in the center of the human experience right now, in this most ordinary moment, and it's brimming with spirit, with the presence of the divine is right here on this dirty city street with a million motorbikes zooming by, with people carrying everything from refrigerators to sleeping babies. It's like everywhere we went, walking down roads, isolated roads in the foothills of the Himalayas, and encountering people bringing their horses down from the mountains laden with sticks, and the horses were dressed, festooned in those colors of India. It's like everything is colorful and beautiful and rich and connected to the source of love, of life, of soul. So I just had one of the most spiritual experiences of my life at the age of almost 64, traveling. And I'm sure many of you can relate to that. So let's reclaim travel as an ordinary mystical experience next time you go anywhere.